But now to Victoria and that other bombshell. The Premier's right-hand man exits stage left. The Andrews government, I don't think, has been in such a shaky state for quite some time, thanks to the pressure applied by my colleague here at Sky News, Peter Credlin. We've had the Victorian government called on early Saturday to hand over all the phone and text records of those in senior government positions, including the top bureaucrat Chris Eccles and the Premier Dan Andrews. Now, it's worth noting that the inquiry could have called for these documents a month ago when there was clearly evidence of a 6-minute gap between when the police commissioner thought his department would supply officers for hotel quarantine and when he was told others, or we told others, they were no longer required. But they've waited until Peter Credlin grilled Daniel Andrews at a press conference on Friday. Why can't we see who phoned the top cop, was what was asked, because that gets us closer to who made the fateful and disastrous decision to give lucrative contracts to security companies. So as Eccles and others get their phone bills ready, Eccles pulls the plug this morning.
I was shocked when I was informed last night that this call had been made and that a detailed examination of his records had shown that.
This call had to be made. Interesting one to pursue. Is this proof that Eccles decided that security guards should run hotel quarantine? Probably not. He says no, but we're getting closer. Did the Premier make the decision and tell Eccles to pass the details on? Well, he's already said no under oath, and today was quick to explain that these kinds of operational matters were not the jurisdiction of his staff.
The broader issue, or any contention that anybody in my private office would be making operational decisions like that, that's just simply not right.
OK, we take him at his word with that, but the idea being continually proffered by his government that there was no single decision made by anyone about security guards, that it had become a widespread assumption, is the greatest snow job in Victorian government history. Why didn't they assume it'd be the police? Why didn't they assume it'd be the AFP or the ADF or the health department? No less likely than security guards, private security guards. Maybe more likely. The excuse is total garbage. And surely this Board of Inquiry, which has been whipped into focus by media coverage, can see the obvious. No one wants to be the first government official to be hit with manslaughter charges under these new Victorian laws that came into being this year. That's what's at stake here. Not just bad press, jail. That would be for the manslaughter of 810 people in Victoria and counting. OK, let's cross live now to the Victorian Shadow Health Minister, Georgie Crozier, who's in Melbourne. Georgie, thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
Now, the Premier says it was the right decision for Mr Eccles to go. What does he mean there? That wasn't pursued as much as it should have been at that press conference. What does he mean? He should have gone, what, to deflect the spotlight from himself?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a Premier who's deflecting all the time. We see it in every press conference that he does every single day. And, you know, all roads are leading towards Daniel Andrews on this decision. In your editorial, we've had a Board of Inquiry asking the very simple question, who made the decision? And let's not forget, Chris, there was this collective amnesia from 10 bureaucrats, including Chris Eccles, three ministers, I should say, and the Premier. And now what? They're all starting to recall, and we've had, in just 10 days, the former minister has resigned. Now the closest man to Daniel Andrews has resigned, Chris Eccles, and we've got the Emergency Management Commissioner who's on leave, and goodness knows whether he's going to come back or not.
Yeah,
so this is just absolute garbage.
I've said all along more scrutiny needs to be placed on the Emergency Commissioner because I got the feeling that he was doing too much dodging in that parliamentary inquiry into this. But can I ask about something that Peter Credlin raised to Dan Andrews in today's press conference, which was the role of the Premier's Chief of Staff? If you're thinking about those that have been under scrutiny, the Chief of Staff has not. Now, that person will have to give up their phone and text records, but maybe this is the place to look closer at. Would you agree?
Yes, I think all of those people that are so close to Daniel Andrews, including the Chief of Staff, have got questions to answer. And really, why weren't they called before the Board of Inquiry? Why were those questions and why were those people not brought before this Board of Inquiry to answer these basic questions that Peter exposed on Friday and again today?
Would you agree that some of those need to come back to the inquiry? And because I'm saying it seems as if the inquiry individuals, those that are on the board, are dragging their heels a tad. They didn't react to getting phone and text records until Peter Credlin made a big deal about it at the press conference on Friday.
Oh, without a doubt, Chris. This for the Code Inquiry to have credibility after what's happened over the last 10 days, the inquiry must recall some of these witnesses, including the former Health Minister, including Chris Eccles, including Daniel Andrews, with all of this conflicting testimony that's going on and these submissions that have been put into the Board of Inquiry as late as Friday. And let's not forget what the former Health Minister said about the Premier.
Yep.
Basically called him a liar in no uncertain terms. I mean, this is just extraordinary. And all of those people that have died, the hundreds of people who have died, and their families deserve to know the truth, to get to the bottom of this. And also, I mean, the millions of Victorians that are still in lockdown. We're still in lockdown. The uncertainty for the businesses that aren't going to reopen, or we don't know if they're going to reopen next week. This is just extraordinary what's happening here, and we've got these people who are fudging and their weasel words. It is disgraceful what's gone on, and that Board of Inquiry, to give it credibility, will have to recall all of these people.
Just a question on the lockdown. The numbers that we're seeing in Victoria now are almost identical to the numbers that were recorded in the latter part of August in New South Wales, and New South Wales was almost entirely open. Now we've got the World Health Organisation in the last 24 hours saying lockdowns are not the main way to stop the spread of the virus. As a matter of fact, you've got to think about your economies and you've got to stop making people poorer.
Well, that's right. The WHO did come out and just said the lockdowns are actually disadvantaged exponentially. So what we do know is that here in Victoria, we've got businesses that haven't got that certainty, but importantly, the mental health issues are just profound and they're compounding every single day. And that is causing massive concerns with the rate of suicides, the terrible numbers that we're seeing from young people and others who are just giving up hope because they see no hope.
Yeah.
There is no certainty. It is devastating, Chris, and it's really having a terrible impact on Victorians, and we've got to just get out of this in a sensible way, and we can. And New South Wales has, as you've said, but Daniel Andrews and his ministers are just not listening. They're just too embroiled in their own self-preservation. It's appalling.
Georgie Crozier, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Opposition Health spokesperson Georgie Crozier. Now, if you think about it, Melbourne has 10 only mystery cases at the moment. They should open the damn gates because New South Wales has been worse than that in the past 2 months.